English slow and easy for everyone. Speak English naturally with us.
Hey English learners, welcome back to Practice English TV. Relax, listen, and build your English confidence. I'm Mark.
Hello, Mark, and hello, everyone. I'm Emma. It's nice to be back. Mark, have you ever had a word in your head, but when you actually tried to use it, it didn't come out the way you expected?
Oh, absolutely. That happens to me more often than I'd like to admit. Actually, I've been thinking about something that a lot of English learners might relate to. Have you ever learned a new English word, remembered it perfectly, and then completely forgot how to use it when you started talking?
Oh, yes. And sometimes you know the word, you know the meaning, but when you say it, it just doesn't sound natural.
Exactly. That's actually what made me want to talk about this today. I used to think that if I learned enough words, my English would automatically sound better.
A lot of learners think that, but knowing a word and using a word naturally are two different things.
Right. You can know hundreds of words and still feel stuck in a simple conversation.
And that's frustrating because you start thinking, maybe my English isn't good enough.
But maybe the problem isn't how many words you know.
Maybe it's how you use the words you already know.
I like that. Because sometimes I use a word that is technically correct, but a native speaker would probably choose a different word.
Exactly, and that's what we're going to explore today. Not difficult vocabulary, not a long list of new words, just simple English words that you already know and how to make them feel more natural in real conversations.
So Emma, if someone knows a lot of English words but still doesn't sound natural, where should they start?
I would start with something very simple. Stop thinking about English words as single words.
What do you mean?
When we learn vocabulary, we often learn a word with one meaning. Then, when we speak, we try to build a sentence around that word.
Yeah, I definitely do that.
But in real English, words often live together. Some words naturally appear with other words.
So instead of learning just one word, I should notice the words around it.
Exactly. Let's take a very simple word, decision.
Okay.
You probably know the word, but instead of only remembering decision, remember useful combinations like make a decision or a difficult decision.
Oh, right. We say make a decision, not do a decision.
Right. And when you remember the whole combination, you don't have to build the sentence from zero every time.
That actually makes speaking easier.
It does. And you don't need to memorize huge lists. You can simply pay attention to small groups of words when you hear English.
Let me try another one. Take a break.
Perfect.
I know break, I know take, but together, take a break feels like one useful piece.
Exactly. Imagine you're at work and you've been staring at your computer for 2 hours.
I think I need to take a break.
That sounds natural because you're not stopping to think about every individual word.
I can see how this changes things. Instead of thinking, what word should I use? I can remember a phrase that already belongs together.
Yes, and here's another everyday example. Imagine your friend is leaving for work, but you want to tell them to be careful.
Take care.
Exactly. Two simple words, nothing difficult, but you use them together all the time.
So this isn't really about learning harder vocabulary.
No, it's about noticing natural combinations.
That's interesting. I think learners sometimes try to sound more advanced by choosing bigger words.
Yes, but bigger doesn't always mean better. A simple phrase used naturally can sound much better than a difficult word used awkwardly.
Simple words become powerful when you learn how they naturally work together.
Exactly.
So what can someone do today?
Choose one familiar word you already know. Then, instead of learning a new definition, find 2 or 3 natural phrases that use that word.
For example, if I choose break, I could remember take a break.
Yes, and then use it in a real sentence today.
Like, I'm tired. I need to take a break.
Perfect. That's the whole idea.
I like that because it feels less like studying.
And more like collecting useful pieces of English you can actually use.
Okay, so we talked about learning words together instead of learning them alone. What's another way to use familiar words more naturally?
Pay attention to the situation.
The situation?
Yes, sometimes the same basic word can feel different depending on where you are and what you're talking about.
Can you give me an example?
Sure, think about the word get.
Oh, that's a big one.
It is, and learners often know get, but they try to translate every sentence with get in the same way.
So I should look at the situation instead of only looking at the word.
Exactly. Imagine you're at a coffee shop. You might say, "Can I get a coffee?"
Right.
But later, your friend might say, "Did you get my message?"
Same word, completely different situation.
Exactly. You don't need to stop and memorize every possible meaning at once. Start noticing how the word appears in real life.
That reminds me of something. Sometimes I hear a phrase many times before I really understand why people use it.
That's normal. Your brain starts connecting the words with situations.
So instead of asking, what does this word mean, I could also ask, when do people use this word?
Yes, that's a much more useful question for speaking.
Let's try a real situation.
Okay.
I'm talking to a friend who just finished a difficult project. I say, you did a good job.
That sounds natural.
But if I'm talking to my manager about the same project, I might say, the team did a great job.
Right. The basic words are simple, but the situation changes how you put them together.
And I don't have to force myself to sound fancy.
Exactly. Natural English is often about choosing simple words that fit the moment.
I think this is something learners can practice anywhere.
Definitely. You're waiting for a bus, you're shopping, you're talking with a friend, you're sending a message.
You can notice the English people use in that situation.
Yes, and when you hear a useful phrase, don't only remember the words, remember the situation too.
So if I hear someone say, I'll get back to you, I should remember that people use it when they need to answer someone later.
Exactly. That's much more useful than simply writing down get equals receive.
That's actually a really good point.
Because language is connected to life, words become easier to use when your brain remembers the moment, not just the definition.
Don't just learn what a word means, notice when people naturally use it.
Yes, and here's today's small action.
Let me guess. Choose one word?
Exactly. Pick one common English word today. Then notice 3 different situations where you hear or use it.
I could use get.
Good choice.
I'll get some water. Did you get my message? And I'll get back to you.
Perfect. Don't worry about memorizing everything. Just notice the situations.
That feels much more natural than studying a long vocabulary list.
And that's exactly what we want.
You know, there's something I've noticed about learning English. Sometimes I spend a lot of time looking for new words, but then I don't really use the words I learned yesterday.
That's very common. We often think progress means adding more words.
But maybe that's not always the best way.
Right. Sometimes the better question is, can I use the words I already know more easily?
So instead of always adding vocabulary, I should practice using familiar vocabulary.
Exactly. Think about a word like help.
Very simple word.
Yes, most learners know it very well, but you can use it in many everyday situations.
I need some help.
Good.
Can you help me?
Good.
Thanks for your help.
Exactly. Same familiar word, but you're using it in different situations.
And I guess that helps the word become automatic.
Yes, the more often you use a useful word in real situations, the less you need to think about it.
That sounds important for speaking.
It is. When you're speaking, you don't have much time to search through your memory for the perfect word.
That's definitely my problem sometimes.
You start thinking, what's the best word? What's the advanced word? Did I learn this word before?
And while I'm thinking about that, the conversation is already moving on.
Exactly.
That's painfully true.
So one useful habit is to practice saying things simply, quickly, and naturally.
Can we try a situation?
Sure.
I'm at my work and my coworker asks, "How was your weekend?"
Okay.
I could say, "It was good. I stayed home, watched a movie, and cooked dinner."
That's completely fine.
But maybe I want to sound more advanced, so I start searching for a better word than good.
And that's where you can make things harder than they need to be.
So good is okay?
Of course, the important thing is whether your sentence fits the situation and communicates your idea clearly.
That's a relief.
And you can make the sentence more natural without replacing every simple word.
How?
Add a little real information. For example, "It was pretty good. I stayed home and finally watched that movie I'd been meaning to see."
Ah, that's interesting. The English is still simple.
Exactly. You don't need difficult vocabulary to sound natural. You need enough language to express a real thought.
So maybe the problem isn't that my vocabulary is too small. Maybe I'm not practicing the vocabulary I already have.
That's a much better way to look at it.
I like that because it takes some pressure off.
It should. If you know a word, give yourself a chance to use it.
Even if my sentence is very simple?
Especially then, simple sentences are great practice because you can focus on using the words naturally.
Okay, let's say I'm getting ready to leave home.
All right?
I can say to myself, "I need my keys. Where did I put them? Oh, they're on the table. I should grab my bag."
Exactly. You're not studying new vocabulary, you're using the English you already know to describe a real moment.
And because the situation is real, the words are easier to remember.
Yes, your brain has a reason to use them.
So if I keep waiting until I know more words, I might actually be delaying my progress.
You could be. More vocabulary is useful, of course, but using familiar words is part of becoming comfortable in English.
You don't need more words before you start speaking. You need more chances to use the words you already know.
Exactly.
So, what's the small action for today?
Pick one ordinary part of your day, maybe getting dressed, going outside, making lunch, or getting ready for work.
And describe what I'm doing with simple English,
Yes, try to use 5 words you already know.
not 5 new words.
Right, 5 familiar words.
I like that challenge. It sounds easy enough to actually do.
And that's the point. The goal isn't to impress yourself with difficult English.
It's to make everyday English feel easier.
Exactly. Once familiar words become easier to use, conversations start to feel less stressful.
We've talked about learning words together, noticing the situation, and using words we already know. There's one more thing I think is easy to miss.
What's that?
Sometimes 2 words can have almost the same basic meaning, but one feels more natural in a certain situation.
Yes, and you don't always learn that from a dictionary.
So how do we learn it?
By listening to how people actually use the words.
Can we look at a simple example?
Sure. Think about the words look and watch.
Okay.
You probably know both, but we don't always use them in the same way.
We say, watch a movie,
Right,
and look at this.
exactly. If someone shows you a picture on their phone, they might say, look at this.
But if we're sitting together and a movie is playing, I might say, let's watch a movie.
Right. The words aren't difficult. The important part is noticing how native speakers naturally choose between them.
So I shouldn't just memorize, look means this, watch means that.
Not only that, you should also notice the little situations around the words.
That makes sense.
Here's another everyday example. Think about say and tell.
That's one that confused me for a long time.
You're not alone.
I used to think I could just choose one whenever I wanted to talk about speaking.
A lot of learners do, but you hear certain patterns again and again. Tell me the truth. Tell me what happened. And she said she was tired.
Oh, I can hear the difference when you put them in real sentences.
Exactly. That's why listening is so useful. You start hearing the patterns instead of trying to create every sentence from a grammar rule.
So if I hear, tell me about your trip, I should notice the whole phrase.
Yes,
And if I hear, she said she was busy, I notice that pattern too.
right.
I think this also explains why sometimes a sentence can be grammatically correct but still feel a little strange.
Exactly. You may have chosen a word that doesn't usually appear in that situation.
Have you ever had that happen when you were learning another language?
Definitely. I remember learning a phrase that looked perfectly correct in a textbook. Then I heard a native speaker use a different expression in the same situation.
And you thought, oh, that's how people actually say it.
Exactly. That's one of those moments when a language suddenly feels more alive.
I like that, because sometimes learners think, I made a grammar mistake.
But sometimes it's not grammar. Sometimes you simply haven't heard enough natural examples yet.
So listening isn't only for understanding other people.
No, listening teaches you how words behave.
That's a good way to put it.
And you don't need to listen to complicated content. A short conversation is enough. When you hear a phrase that sounds useful, pause for a moment and notice it.
Like what?
Maybe you hear someone say, "That sounds good."
Very common.
Yes, you can notice when people use it. Maybe someone suggests a restaurant. Maybe a friend shares a plan. Maybe someone tells you about a weekend trip.
And then I start connecting the phrase with those situations.
Exactly. You are learning the feeling and the use of the expression, not just the dictionary meaning.
So maybe that's why listening to natural conversations can help speaking so much.
Yes, you hear how people choose words, how they connect them, and when they use them.
And then you can borrow those natural patterns for your own conversations.
Exactly.
Listening helps you learn not only what words mean, but how they feel in real conversations.
That's the idea.
So, what's the action for today?
Listen to 5 minutes of natural English. Don't try to understand every word.
Just notice one or two phrases that people use naturally?
Yes, write them down if you want, but more importantly, notice the situation.
Who said it? Why did they say it? What happened before and after?
Exactly.
That's actually much more interesting than memorizing a vocabulary list.
And over time, those natural patterns start becoming part of your own English.
Emma, I think we've covered something really important today. Using English naturally isn't really about trying to sound advanced.
Right. It's more about becoming comfortable with the English you already have.
And I like that because it feels much more realistic.
It is. You don't need to change everything at once.
Let's say someone listening today wants to improve this week. What's the first thing they should do?
I'd keep it very simple. When you hear a useful English phrase, don't only ask, "What does this mean?"
Ask, how do people use this?
Exactly. Notice the words around it. Notice the situation. Then try using it yourself.
So it's almost like becoming an observer.
Yes, you start paying attention to English in everyday life.
What about someone who knows a lot of vocabulary but still freezes when speaking?
I'd tell them to stop worrying about using the perfect word. Start with the words that come naturally to you.
Even if they're very simple?
Especially if they're simple. You can always improve your vocabulary later. First, build the habit of expressing real thoughts.
That reminds me of something we talked about earlier. Sometimes I know a more advanced word, but I can't remember it quickly.
And that's okay.
Instead of stopping the conversation, I can use a simpler word.
Exactly. Communication doesn't have to stop because one word is missing.
That's actually a big relief.
It should be. If you forget a word, explain the idea another way. Keep going.
So being natural also means being flexible.
Yes, real conversations don't wait for you to find the perfect sentence.
What if someone says, but I make mistakes when I use words naturally?
Then they're practicing.
Fair enough.
Mistakes are part of the process. The important thing is to notice them, learn from them, and try again.
So let's make today's practice really simple.
Okay.
First, choose one common English word you already know.
Then find 2 or 3 phrases that naturally go with it.
Next, notice how people use those phrases in real situations.
And finally, use one of them in your own life today.
Not tomorrow.
Today.
Maybe when you're talking to a friend. Maybe while you're working. Maybe while you're sending a message.
It can be very small.
And I think that's important. You don't need a special hour just for practicing this.
Exactly. Your normal day is already full of chances to use English.
So if I'm getting ready in the morning, I can use a few simple sentences.
Yes.
If I'm outside, I can notice phrases I hear.
Yes.
If I'm watching an English conversation, I can pay attention to how people put words together.
Exactly. That makes English feel less like a subject and more like something I actually use.
And that's the goal. Before we finish, I want to ask you one last question. If you could give English learners one sentence to remember from today's conversation, what would it be?
I'd say this: use the English you know, notice how people use it, and let natural English grow from there.
I like that.
You don't need to know everything before you start using English naturally.
You just need to keep noticing, practicing, and using what you already know.
Exactly.
And maybe that's a much better way to think about vocabulary.
Instead of asking, how many words do I know?
Ask, how many of the words I know can I actually use?
That's a much more useful question.
Thanks for spending this time with us today.
We hope this conversation gave you one small idea you can try right away.
Choose one familiar English word today,
Notice how people use it.
and then use it yourself.
That's it.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep using your English.